So can you please confirm? Can you see my screen and can you hear me well? Okay. So what do you know about elastic cache, guys? Hmm? What is a single line? What do you remember about elastic cache? So do you remember I said it's an in-memory database caching service? In-memory database caching service. It's an in-memory database caching service. So what is a cache? What is a cache? Guys, all frequently accessed data or frequently accessed data is stored at this place, correct? That is called cache. So if you're accessing the data frequently, and if you want to, put that frequently accessed data in one place and you want to access it faster, and that is for the cache. That is called cache, correct? And how this elastic cache is designed or architected is, how we should architect is like this. So let's say this is your application. Okay. And obviously we'll have a database. And we'll have an elastic cache here in between. Guys, let's say, see here, this is RDS, okay, and this is application. So generally, what do we do? Application, guys, application will get connected to the RDS, right, and then retrieving data back, correct? This is how it goes. Everyone, correct? That's how it goes, right? So let's say you have an application, right, which is asking for the same data again and again. So this application will go and retrieve the data, the same data again and again also. In order to increase the performance, isn't it good to keep elastic cache in between the RDS? So and then save all frequently accessed data here in elastic cache, correct? So this is the elastic cache. Elastic cache is also a database, guys. Elastic cache is also a database. Yes. Elastic cache is also a database. What are the two engines that it support elastic cache? Remember Redis, and another one is Memcached. Redis and Memcached. Remember these two things. What will happen is, if you have elastic cache configured, whenever the application is trying to access something, will it go to RDS or will it check the cache first? It will go and check the cache first, correct? It will go and hit the elastic cache first. Cache hit. So it will hit the cache. Once the cache is hit, and if the cache has the data what the application is expecting, so that will return back to the application. So what happened if the next time it will asking for the data, and what happened if the cache is missed? That meaning the data what is requesting is not there. What happened, guys, if cache is missed? What will happen? It will read it from the RDS, correct? If the cache is not available, it will read it from the RDS. Obviously, no? Read from RDS. So RDS will be responding back to the application with the required data. And what the application will do again? Application will go and write the same mixed data in the elastic cache. Correct? Right to the. This is how it works, guys. Basically, here, as an AWS engineer or architect, we are least bothered about what is there inside the application. So it is mostly a developer things where the developer from the application, he will be writing the code in order to save the data in Elastic Cache, right? And retrieve the data from Elastic Cache, writing the data to the cache again. So it's all about the developer. So developer, they will have the strategies, guys. So we have something called developer strategies. So there are two types of strategies here, guys. Number one is lazy loading. What is that? Lazy loading. Lazy loading meaning the one which we have told, which we have just discussed. Load whenever necessary. That's what we are doing it, correct? Yes, that's what we are doing. So we are loading to the Elastic Cache whenever it is necessary, correct? So, and another one is something called write through. Write through meaning you are writing it parallelly. Parallelly writing on DB and cache. You're parallelly writing on DB and cache. Got it, guys? So it is up to the developer whether he want to put everything in RDS and then whenever there is a cache miss, get it from RDS and write it here. But there is another strategy where the application will be writing to the RDS parallelly to the Elastic Cache also and reading it from them, reading from Elastic Cache. It is up to the developer whether he want to, how they want to do it. Is it clear till here, everyone? Understood? Very simple topic. Is it clear till here? So this Elastic Cache is okay. You tell me this Elastic Cache is mostly used for read purpose or write purpose? Yes, is mostly used for read purpose. Elastic Cache is mostly used for read purpose. So when do you choose, guys? If you want to increase the performance, choose Elastic Cache. Got it, guys? If you want to increase the performance, you need to choose the Elastic. So as per the certification point of view, you should know what is this Elastic Cache, how it works, and then how to configure and all. Okay. So you don't need to worry how the application will be writing to the RDS and all. But you should know that yes, from application, they should write a queries to RDS and fetch the data, and they have their own queries writing to the Elastic Cache. And by the way, this Elastic Cache is NoSQL, guys. Elastic Cache it uses NoSQL concept. So a developer should know how to insert the data into this Elastic Cache. And this RDS is RDBMS. Okay, this is NoSQL. What is NoSQL or not? I'll take it but in some other time. But for now, it uses the key value pair. Okay. So there are two types of engines here we have. We have Redis and then Memcached, correct? So which one is mostly commonly used, either Redis or Memcached? You only tell me here. See, Redis supports high availability, failover, and you can take the backup and data is persistent. What is this meaning? So guys, if you have using Redis as a database, so it supports high availability, failover, and you can take the backup also. You can take the backup of Redis. Guys, this is a frequently storage. This is frequently accessed data, right? It is just a cache storage, cache data. So even though it is a cache data, you can take the backup, and also data is persistent. Persistent meaning if you stop and start a reboot the database also, the data is still persistent, that still exists. It doesn't get deleted. Because generally cache will get deleted, no, if you restart or reboot it. But here it's purely work as a database. Purely it will work as a database. Whereas in memcached doesn't support HA, no failover, no backups, data is not persistent. You only tell me. So based on the requirement, if the data is mission critical, and if the data is critical, then go with the Redis. If the data is not critical, then go for memcached. Understood, guys? Is this clear? City, is this clear till here, everyone? So, data returned to Elasticsearch is permanently stored, or that's what? Prakash, depend upon the Redis and memcached. If you're using Redis, that is permanently stored. If you're using memcached, if you restart, the data is gone. Guys, give me 2 minutes, please. Okay, there is a questions. There is obviously the cost difference will be there because Shravan, it is memcached, right? Sorry, it's a database, right? One is with high availability, another one is not with high availability. There's a cost difference will be there. And second thing is, then what is the use of memcache, sir? Is it free or it is chargeable? It's not about free and chargeable. It's about requirement, Mujib. It's about requirement. So they both have. That's fine. Yeah, it's okay. Okay, sir. Redis files is fresh daily or cabinet of the file. Redis files is refresh daily or how? So it is up to you. So however you are saving the data in the database, it will not be synced here from here to here. It will not be synced. Your data should be written from your application from here. It will not refresh from here directly based on the configuration. Yes. So to use Elasticsearch, application has to be developed in such a manner. Correct. What if there is no Elasticsearch? Application fail? No. See, why you are introducing Elasticsearch? In order to increase the performance. Correct. If there is no Elasticsearch, you can directly use RDS only. No. Right. If you want to increase the performance, either you can on the RDS side, either you can go with the read replicas concept. But here you can go with the Elasticsearch, right? You can implement the Elasticsearch in between, and frequently accessed data can be saved here. I'm sorry, this is NoSQL or I don't think so. I'll come back on this, guys, because I'm just thinking. Anyone Redis worked on Redis? Hold on. Because the backend we have a database, right? So for these heavy applications, this is all we have discussed. Open source. Okay, I don't think so. Apologies for that. Yeah, ignore that, please. So because I've just got it out, because here we have RDBMS, right? You're storing the data, and here also. If it is RDBMS, this cannot be like this, right? So that's a reason. So ignore that, please. Excuse me. Okay, so Is this clear till here, guys? Before I go a little bit deeper on. So as now we have discussed about Redis and Memcache. So let us go a little bit deeper on Redis. Memcache is very straightforward. Let's talk on Redis a little bit more. Is it clear till here? Okay. So now let's talk about Redis architecture, how the Redis architecture will be. So in Redis, basically, we have cluster mode enable, cluster mode disable concept. Cluster mode enable concept and cluster mode disable concept. Cluster mode enable, cluster mode disable. So what is this cluster here? Okay. Okay. So guys, here, what is generally in cluster? Cluster meaning? What is cluster? Group of servers. Here, instead of calling group of servers, call a collection of servers. Here we call it as collection of shards. What is that? Everyone write down collection of shards. So now question for you would be, sir, what is a shard? Obviously. Shard meaning the one which you said collection of nodes or servers. So the collection of servers is called a shard, and the collection of shard is called a cluster here. Okay. And each shard has 6 nodes. How many nodes are there? 6 nodes, guys. That is 1 primary and 5 replica nodes. So if you want to go and set up Redis, this is how you should be doing it. So you need to go and create a cluster. So if it is cluster mode enabled, you go with the cluster. What is cluster? Cluster is a collection of shards. So what is shard? Shard is the collection of nodes. So this is one shard. Okay, this is one shard. So this is a shard, and shard will have how many nodes, guys, in total? One shard will have how many nodes? Six. One primary, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So one primary, and these are all replica nodes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So like this, if you have a cluster, you have multiple shards like this. Okay. How many shards? Hundreds of shards you can have. There are so many you can go and have the shards. Okay. Understood? Okay, it's understood. So cluster mode enable meaning, so you have a cluster. Cluster is nothing but, what is a node? Node is a server. Simply. Okay. How we have a DB instance, that is a node. Okay. So whereas here, cluster mode disable meaning you will have only one shard. That too with you will have one primary and then 5 replica node. Understood, guys? You understood in Redis difference between cluster mode enable and cluster mode disable? What is a node? What is a shard? What is a cluster and all? Everyone clear? Any questions? As I said, like, on the database side, it's all about configurations, right? So theoretically and technically and on certification point of view, only this much we have on the Elastic Cache. So we no need to go, but the thing is here, should we go and quickly check on the console side? How does it look like? Okay. Shravan, you don't know when you need to go with cluster, when you don't need to go with the not cluster. You only tell me. When do you use cluster, when you don't want cluster? It's all about high availability, no? You know the answer, huh? So here, elastic cache. Okay, so guys, the same thing. See, if subnet goes parameter, user management, you can see, and then Redis cluster, backups, reserve nodes. Same thing. That's what I said. If you concentrate on one RDS, rest all databases will be very simple. And obviously, it is regional. Okay, if you click on get started, um, you can create clusters here. But if you see here on the left side, Redis cluster, if you want Redis cluster, you can go ahead and create a Redis cluster here. And if you want memcached cluster, you can go and create memcached cluster. Okay. So should we go ahead and create one thing here? Okay. So what I do is, okay, I'll click on ready, create cluster, create Redis cluster. See how simple this will be. And obviously they have changed it. So configure and create a new cluster or restore it from backups. Obviously, right? If you have a backups, you can restore it. And if you want to create a new cluster, create it from here. Okay, cluster mode, you want enable or disable. So what is the difference between them? If you have cluster mode enabled, you will have multiple shards, correct? Right? And then if you don't want multiple shards, then go with the disable concept. So if your cluster mode is disable, how many replicas you can get? Replicas. 5 replicas, correct? We learn. How many primaries that you get? One primary node you get, and 5 replicas, read replicas, you get it. Okay. So whereas if you enable it, so you need to mention how many stars that you need. Okay. So now if you click on, so you just give the name, description here, and location, choose whether to host the cluster, where you want to host the cluster. You want to host it here in AWS or your on premises. So if it is on premises, you have a separate concept called outsports that you need to explore a little bit. So here it is AWS cloud. You know the concept of multi-AZ, whether you want multi-AZ or not. So guys, if you enable the cluster, I told you that auto failover is automatically there. If you enable multi-AZ, you know the concept, right? Automatic failover will be there. Yeah. It is used to connect from your on-prem to AWS. Okay. So, and the cluster settings, you say go with the engine version, port number, these are all same. Node type, it is same as like your instance type. Select whichever it is based on your requirement. And here, number of shards. Did I told you that if your cluster mode is enabled, we need to give how many shards that you need to give, right? So based on the requirement, you need to give a shard. So maximum how many shards you can have? Hmm? Yes, 500 shards. Okay, so you need to, you can have 500 shards. And how in per shard, how many three replicas you can have? Maximum 5. So you can go with how many you want. Let's say, for example, number of shards you have given 2, and then per each shard you have three replicas. You can go for it. Connectivity IPv4 subnet. You can select the subnet, and this is normal. And here availability zones. So we have selected 2 shards, no? Shard 1 and shard 2. So your primary should be in which availability zones? I mean, your primary should be in which availability zone? Your replicas, you have selected 3 replicas, right? What is? What is that? Which one? This one. First of all, you understood, Achit Krishna, what is a shard? What is a cluster? Answer that first. What is a cluster? Correct, no? So if I go ahead and enable cluster mode enabled, that meaning it's a collection of group of shards. Okay. Okay. So if it is cluster mode enabled, meaning group of shards. Group of shards meaning how many shards that you need? We need to mention that, no? That is the number of shards. So in each shard, how many maximum replicas we can have? Krishna? 5. So here, do you need to mandatory go with the 5? Based on the requirement, we can go for it, no? So for here, instead of 5, I put it as 3. 2 shards, and each shards 3 replicas. Got it? Okay. So here, each is an equal distribution or custom distribution. If you select custom distribution here, you can here you have specific availability zones. Yes, Babu, 1 primary and 3 replicas. Yes, primary is mandatory. You cannot ignore primary. Okay, so primary will be there and replicas will be 3. Okay, so guys, here specify availability zones. Obviously, the primary 1A, 1B, 1A, 1B, so they have already segregated it. So if it, that will be automatically there, no preference meaning automatically will launch based on it. And then if you click on, okay, I'll just give test. I don't want TS. Okay, I click on next. Okay, here, if when you click on next, encryption, I told you that in what is this? Redis, you can do the backup also, right? And if you want encryption at rest, encryption transit, we have discussed both of them, correct? Guys, you know, right? Encryption in transit and encryption at rest. Yeah. So you can enable it based on that. You can select our default security group, and then automatic backups are enabled because Redis, I told you, backups are available. Retention period logs. Click on next and then create it. Simple, isn't it? Guys, yes, simple or not? It's very simple. So Elastic Cache, if there is a requirement, you know the concepts now, you can go ahead and create a Elastic Redis cluster. Same as in Memcached. In Memcached, click on, guys, if I click on create, it will take at least a lot of time to create it. But here, do you see this here? If at all you want to go with the Memcached, same concept, you go with the AWS or on-premises, go with AWS, give the cluster information, test and test. Engine version is fine. This is a port number. Guys, if you want to get connected, you need to open this port number in the security groups, correct? Yes. So here node type, you select if you want it, our favorite T2 micro, we have our T2 micro also. And do you have the cluster concept here? I mean the shard concept here in Memcached? No. So you can go with only the number of nodes. So select the number of rows, 1 or 2. Okay, and nodes can be many. You cannot have shards. Nodes can be many. So here existing group is fine, and click on next. In transit is disabled here. That's it. Click on next and then create it. Understood how to create it? You want me to create? It will take simply a lot of time. That's it. So I call it as 9 a.m. Okay. Test memcache. Okay. And blah 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 and T2 micro. So I'll go with one node. Okay. Availability zones, let it be. Next, and manage security group. Our default security group, we can choose it. The notifications if at all you want, and then create it. So it will take little bit time to get it created. Obviously, if you click on it, you will get the what do you call? You'll get the endpoints, so you can connect using the endpoints. And same concepts, you have modify, reboot, and all. View metrics and details if you want to change. Same as RDS, no, guys. Same as RDS. Reserve nodes, you can reserve it for discounts. Backups, you see the backups. Global data store is the concept where if you want to replicate, right? If you want to replicate, do you see this here? Scale your cluster dynamically with a node and time. This is a cluster mode enable disable concept. And global data source meaning allows you to create cross-region read replicas for Elasticsearch for Redis to enable low latency and disaster recovery across regions. So if you need to have the replication from your, if you need to have a primary here or replicas in some other, how do we have read replicas in RDS? That is a global data stores concept here. Enable here, you just enable which region it is. Do you see this here? A regional cluster is this, in which region that you want to go and create it. Create a new regional cluster, give the name, blah, 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 and then click on next. So that is the global data stores. If at all you want to, replicate in multiple regions. Subnet groups, same thing. If you access restrictions, is also same thing. User management. So you can create a groups and you can create a users, right? What is the user ID? What is the username? How they want to give the password, right? And then how to connect to it. If you click it, so the users will be created. And if you want to manage in the group wise, you can create a group and as the users here. Okay. Guys, understood? So it's still creating. So what is our thing is here? Our responsibility as an AWS architect or engineer is you just go ahead and set up this Redis cluster or Memcache cluster. Make sure that you have the backups, restorations, reservations, right? And then if you want to replicate, you can replicate it. Understood, guys? Is this clear? With me? So what I want you to do it here is the task, the practicals here is, I want you to create a Redis cluster. Click on create Redis cluster. Cluster mode disabled. Don't enable it. Okay. Give the name. Remove multi-AZ. Right. And here go with the T2 micro. Okay. Replicas you put 2. Rest everything is fine. Next. Test. Remove encryption. Security groups, you select default security group, automatic backups, select it, and then hit and create it. So now you know how to create Redis cluster, first of all, yes or no? I just showed you. You know how to create a Redis cluster? Yes. So create a Redis cluster with our T2 micro with the free tier. Once it got created, I want you to connect to this Redis cluster from Linux machine. It's very, very, very simple. That would be the task for you. How do you connect the Redis cluster from Linux? Will you take it up? Do you see this? The first using CLI, you need to connect, but you have a direct step. If you just put it in internet, so guys, each and so the primary endpoints will be like this, reader endpoints will be like this, enable on the security groups, and then this how you should be. You need to install this. If it is Amazon Linux 2, it is Linux. Go and launch Amazon Linux or Amazon Linux 2, and this is how you'll be connecting it. Guys, can't you simply do this? Doable? 100% doable. Okay, do you see this here? Test memcached is available. So if you go here, I have created the nodes is one node, right? Do you see this endpoint here? This endpoint, right? So you can connect to it and then start doing it here. You can reboot, you can delete the node, you can add the nodes, right? We have only one cluster. You can have a number, you can have at least more than 10, 20 nodes. You can have it here. And I just wanted to show you one thing. How does the developer write the code? Let's say, guys, so this is a sample Python code, how that from the application, how they're writing it. So just imagine, see here, save user number is 17, and name. It's a key value only, guys. It's a key value only. Okay, name is Kevin. Okay, user is get user. See, I told you developer has two types of strategies. One is write through and lazy load. Correct? Write through and lazy load. What is lazy write through meaning, guys? Write through meaning, I told you that here, write through meaning you are parallelly writing on the database and on the cache. Correct? Oh, yes or no? Yeah. So lazy load meaning, see, get user record cache dot get. So from cache, write through meaning. So he's save user. So I told you that parallelly they will be writing it. Correct? Parallel writes. So he's going and then updating the users in the database, and also he's setting the cache with the TTL in the Elastic cache. See, parallelly they are writing both. He's writing both. That is called write through. Whereas in lazy loading meaning, first it will record is equal to cache dot get. So that meaning first it is checking in the cache whether the data is there or not. User ID 17 is there or not. So if the record is done, if the cache is not there, then it will go and select, it will go and talk to the database. And then once the data is written in record, in this record variable, that same record will be added to the cache. That is called lazy loading. So this is how they will be doing it from the application side. So they will write switch based on this strategy. They will be going and writing, then doing it. But as an AWS engineer, what we should be doing it, we should go ahead and then set up all these things based on their requirement. Understood, guys? Is this clear now? So will you go and set up one Redis T2 micros Redis cluster, right? And then try to connect it from the EC2 Linux EC2 instance? Yes? Obviously, yes. The TTL value depend upon the, if you put the long TTL value, that much time the data will be available in that. Simple. So you have a weekend, so complete this RDS and Elastic Cache practicals. So, yeah, Monday we'll take the fresh another. Yeah. Okay, there is questions from Rohit. I connected to MySQL with endpoint. I connected to MySQL with endpoint. Okay. I tried one sample application with registration form and updated the details to RDS database, correct? So the data is showing in MySQL. How to see it in RDS instance? So Prasanna has already answered that. Yeah, good one. So in RDS instance, so RDS, you cannot connect as a you can be connected to the RDS using MySQL Workbench. Okay. So you cannot do as SSH and RDP to RDS. You are already connecting to the MySQL using Workbench. That is done. That means you are connected to the RDS instance itself through the client. Take the screenshots, guys. Let me know once done. Okay, the next one. Okay, and the third one. Super. Can you give the final CC for today? Great. So that is all, guys, for today. And I'll see you on Monday with the next important topic. Until then, take care. Bye-bye. Have a nice day and have a nice weekend. And please complete the practicals by Monday. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.